Welcome everyone to the South Russell Village Council meeting. Today is Monday, May the 12th. Everyone please rise, put your hand over your heart and join us in our pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Fiscal officer will take the roll.
Berger.
Here.
Canton.
Here.
Kavanaugh. Here. Gleason.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Bell.
Here. We have minutes of the April 28th regular council meeting. Any changes or corrections? Hearing none, we have a motion by Porter, seconded by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Berger abstained. Motion passes. We have visitors with us tonight. Ruth, I will allow you to introduce our visitor.
We have in front of us Kathy Meek Scheimer, whom I grew up with, and she probably babysat for me. But in our old age, neither one of us can stop working, and she's working for Destination Geauga. And she'd like to give her 5 minutes or less speech.
Right, well, I don't get 5, I thought I was going for 2 hours. Have any of you heard of Destination Geauga? Okay, that's good, that's good. I need to work over here on this side of the room. We do a few events every year, and we put out a brochure. I'm not here for money, okay? Okay. Our brochure, we print like 30,000 of them, and unfortunately, I counted wrong on how many people were here, so I'm short, but I will give Ruth a couple extra ones if anybody's interested. We, all of our members are listed in here, and we print it, once a year, normally in August, so that I have it for the fair. The commissioners, we get, how we're funded is bed tax money. And since there's only 5 places in Geauga County that I get any money from, Henderson being the biggest driver. The next is the Lodge at Bass Lake. There's Pine Lake Truck Farm. There's Hillbrook Club, and there's the KOA Campground in Thompson. That's it. We do not get any money from the Airbnbs or the big RVOs. So I'm the one-woman show for Destination Geauga. This coming Saturday, we have our 21st annual Spring Drive It Yourself tour. These I do have a lot of, so I'll leave them for you. It's literally a drive it yourself tour. There's 25 different stops on here, and it's a fun day. Our finale is going to be held at Adam Hall in Auburn. They were very generous to help me out. So, what do I do? I promote my businesses that are our members. I promote businesses that aren't members. I promote clubs and organizations and townships. I'm part of the local whole township for Geauga County. It was cheap for $35. And pretty much whatever you have going on in South Russell, if somebody can get it to me, my email is info@destinationgeauga.com. I would be happy to put it in a newsletter, my newsletter. It goes out every Thursday, and right now it goes to about 1,800 people. I would be happy to share it on Facebook and Instagram. If you just get me the stuff, I'll be happy to do whatever I can to promote South Russell. As Ruth said, I grew up in Chagrin Falls. When I was 8, my parents moved to South Russell to Pawpaw Lake, and I lived there till I was 21 and got married. And that's kind of my story. Am I below my 5 minutes on good stuff?
What happens on Saturday at the end of
The
the
spring
drive?
drive yourself tour, yeah.
But what's going on at Adam Hall?
That's the finale. So it starts off, there's 25 different stops. They're all in alphabetical order, so you do not have to do them. You can pinpoint an area and start.
Mhm.
You can either take one of my maps if you want to do it, or you can print one off the internet, or if you decide you want to do it, you can go to the very first stop and ask for a map. They'll stamp it that you've been there. You do not have to buy anything. it's kind of deceived different businesses. And there's a lot in Middlefield. So if you have a desire to go to Middlefield, I'm trying to work more in this area in order to get more members. I want to promote Junkin County and get people, we're tourism. I want them to spend the day, spend the night, spend the week, and spend their money. And that's what I do, not necessarily in that order. Anybody have any questions?
Do you have an office?
I do.
Where is that?
It's in Newberry, in the Newberry Industrial Park.
Which is that, near that corner of 87 and 44, right?
And I'm in the back in building H. What?
Thank you, Kath.
Well, you're welcome. And Ruth and I actually went through cataract surgery and
Yep.
we can both see now.
And then just a little fact, her mom, Norma Meek, played with Thad Blair's grandpa in a band called the Orkettes, and they played for they were my parents' age, so we tagged along. I can break into dance if you want me to. Thank you, Kath. You don't have to
Thanks for
stay.
letting me come.
Kathy, thank you very much, and thank you for all the work that you're going to be doing on the 250th
Right,
birthday.
and America 250 is gonna be huge, so.
It's going to be huge, yes.
I will leave these,
Right
you
there, it's
don't
fine.
have to say one with your, you can put some in the trash and take a few hundred more. I'm trying to get rid of stuff, but I use them for show and tell. See, I showed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. All right. If everything works, I'm going to have Councilman Canton, Councilmember Kavanaugh, and the street commissioner talk about the installation of the restroom, and it's coming.
So that's good. I didn't forward you that screenshot or video, so you must have gotten it from our esteemed streets guy.
Leslie Galicki put this together with pictures from the street commissioner and myself. We're still spinning on Chambers, could not.
Yeah, Chambers.
The Chambers. What should I go to? Screen mirroring.
Screen mirroring and Chambers.
All right, went to screen mirroring,
Things.
went to Chambers. Okay, it's not spinning.
Chambers, as in toilet chambers. Chamber pots. No chamber pots.
Council.
In the meantime, we'll have one.
There you go.
There you go.
Is that you?
No,
Try sharing your screen again.
okay.
There it is. There you go.
There we go. This is what the typical restroom looks like. This is not ours. It's a little different. But please, the three of you jump in at any time. I'll just show these.
Well, I'll, if I may, I'll get the ball rolling here. I understand that this has been on the, I'm
On
gonna
the
say,
back
drawing board for quite a while. And when I was chair of the Parks Committee, I'm taking a look at the pavilion, I'm looking at our playground and how nice everything looks. And then I look and I see the, what our restroom facilities are. And I think I made the comment, it's like wearing a tuxedo and wearing brown shoes. It just, something was missing. And what was missing was a very nice facility for our park. And I'm very happy that we finally have one. Now, I have a question, is it up and running yet?
It is. As of today, they picked up the temporary bathroom that was at the park
Right.
this afternoon,
Porta potty.
and the chief set the door codes, so that way they'll be open from 6 AM to 9 PM every day, and they will adjust with daylight savings time. And people are able to use it now.
Okay, so if I heard you correctly, it has been set, right? The timer has been set?
Yep.
Okay.
It is operational.
Do we have the video of the thing swinging on there?
We have a few things. You got to be relying on me and Tim for pictures.
All my comments are gonna be, I'm glad that it's there, I'm glad it's done. I didn't get there, I intended to get there when the guy was swinging it by hook or crook off his truck onto the land, but I just missed that. And Tim was just doing backfill and all the important things that went with that. So keep going there.
Interesting operation. Tim, you probably know what went right and what went wrong, but it was pretty smooth from what I could see.
Yeah, it flowed. They have a well-oiled machine when they show up. The trucking company did give them a little bit of trouble with the top half of the building, or I'm sorry, the bottom half of the building, the vaults underneath the building. They got stuck somewhere in Ohio, and they were running a little behind. So that held us up for about 2 hours in the morning. Once they showed up on the site, within 2 hours, the building was set. So these are the vaults that are the effluent tanks. From what I've gathered from other communities with the bathroom, it looks to be somewhere about once a year we'll have to have them emptied. There's 2 of these tanks this size going into the hole.
The concrete pad, can you talk about that? We did all of that, right?
So we did all the site preparation, all the grade work, the gravel that is in the bottom of the hole. Actually, we put it in and we made sure was perfectly level. And when they got there, they were very proud of us for having it perfectly level and then told us to add more gravel on one side. Not level. And we asked that because the prints showed it to be level, and that's what we built it to. They instructed us to add material to the back to tip the whole structure about 1.5 inches out of being level, to favor the door side of the building. So that way, if we need to rinse it out or clean out, it'll run out the door rather than puddle up inside the building in various spots. So that kind of came with the installer crew. It said, it's just a trick they've learned over the years.
And here's the big swing.
Those are the 2 vaults that go into the ground, and they're about 5 feet tall and I would say 12 feet long and 6 feet wide each.
So this was the fellow that was 2 hours late?
Yes, yes.
And here's perfectly leveled concrete.
Yep.
Being unleveled.
Yes. This was making it unlevel, which brought a tear to our eye. The building came just as you walk into it now, is how the building came to site on the truck. So at that point, you could open the doors and you can see exactly what you see right now. They bolt the building together to the bottom tanks. They put a caulk line around it and set it, and the sheer weight of the building, they said that building weighs right around about 16 tons, I think.
All right. Ruth?
16 tons of
Anything
money again.
So the only thing left is to straighten those chimneys, right?
So there are 2 things left. One is to straighten the stacks, the top 4 feet of stacks they add on after the fact. And the fellow that was putting those on was
Interesting.
a very interesting individual. So we'll tweak those so that way they're straight and nice. And then we have to pull in power from our power supply by the pavilion down to the bathroom and tie into the existing electrical setup that they have in the building. We haven't done that yet. The machine that we need to do that, to pull it in, will be available Wednesday.
Is there a timetable to dig the well next to it?
I have not. I don't have any. There's no water to speak of inside the building. It's
Right.
hand sanitizer, that's it. So I don't know. A decision probably should be discussed about, are we leaving the restrooms year-round open? Orange Village locks theirs during the winter and shuts them down for the winter. So it's kind of something that needs to be.
But we definitely need to hose them out in the
But
summer.
we can hose them out. We have our tank and things that we can actually just haul the water down there and save that expense.
And initially, though, there was talk not to supply the restroom with water, but to have water source outside our water. So you could use that water to clean the restroom.
I think it's probably just as easy for us to take the unit that we have and do what we need to do and not spend the money to put a well in for.
But didn't we include that that was included in the cost?
It was an additional cost, I mean, it was additional outside the bathroom.
Okay.
But you guys did vote you want to do it, but that, I don't think got encumbered into this year, so you just have to amend this year's appropriations.
I believe $10,000
I was
is
11
for that.
yeah. All right, Mayor, we're not gonna see the video?
That's it.
That's it? Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, Kim.
Ken.
Questions of the mayor? That concludes the mayor's report. Fiscal officer, floor is yours.
First of all, I want to let you all know that Ruth Griswold is back. She, being a team, everybody working together from the police department to Christy and Leslie, I am happy to say Ruth was very happy to what she came back to, and she is caught up. So she is very grateful for the help she got from everybody. I distributed the tax budget worksheets to all committees and department heads and need those back by May 27th. I already got the buildings back, and I think safety I'm gonna get this week, and then hopefully streets, so that we can do the budget hearing, tax budget hearing on June 9th, I believe. So we'll make a motion, the committee will make a motion for that. Harassment training for all employees and elected officials are welcome, is on May 22nd at 8 a.m. at Village Hall. They are wrapping up our 23-24 audit. There was, as of Friday, there was one council member who didn't turn in their fraud assessment sheet. And if that doesn't get done, there will be a ding on our audit.
Okay.
So we need to get that done. And for the month of April, cash balances are down 97,000. But year to date, we are up 514,000. And then the last thing I had was I sent out an email about the advisory opinion. So I don't know if council would like to move forward with that or not, but we should get a motion to make sure that we have the majority of people. And that would be for the advisory opinion regarding the Kensington Green agreement, as well as potentially the public money for a private purpose.
Danielle, under the finance committee, we have a tax budget hearing.
Yep.
There has to be a motion for that.
Yeah, to make a motion for that.
What's the turnaround time, do you guess, for an opinion from the Ethics Commission?
They said 45 days, but I had sent this to them the Wednesday after that last council meeting, and then I heard back from them in less than a week.
Oh, wow.
So they're aware of it, so I don't think it would take 45 days.
I thought we'd address that in public utilities.
Okay. Great, then that's all I had.
Okay.
When we do the tax budget hearing, will we come forward on that June 9th? Do we do it before?
We would do that 7 o'clock, right at the beginning of the council meeting.
It's only about 5 minutes.
Okay.
On those tax budget sheets, should the committees be working with the top part, which talks about salaries and Medicare and
No,
all that?
not, you
So
don't need to
it's
do
just-
salaries and benefits
Just
and that.
the highlighted parts of the bottom?
Right, yeah.
Okay. And the harassment training, what is that? How long, who's going to be there?
It'll be about an hour, well, he said 60 to 90 minutes for employees, and then supervisors, another hour following that. depending how long, how many questions that people have, he likes to keep it interactive for questions and answers, so depending how long that goes, but he carves out 60 to 90 minutes for each. But the
Employees,
chief has already practiced taping that, so we will have it on file for future new employees.
Chief, what are your guys doing?
We're gonna be here.
All of them? And,
Well, if not, we're taping it, so I'll be recording.
okay.
It'll be available to anyone that can't
Alright,
make it.
questions of the fiscal officer? Hearing none, the finance committee.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Finance Committee met May the 9th at 3:15 PM here at the Village Hall. Minutes are up and coming. As you can see on the agenda, I'd like to make a motion that council vote and approve tax budget hearing date of June 9th, 2025 here at 7 PM.
Motion by Canton, seconded by Porter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, thank you very much. As our fiscal officer mentioned, as we know, there's two sides of every coin, especially financial. April, we're down $97,000 due to the purchase of a police cruiser and the restroom facility, of course. But on the other hand, for the year, we're up $515,000, so that's very good news. The first of 2 monthly check signings and cross-checking will occur this week. And unless Mr. Porter has something to add, that's all I have.
Jerry, did you want to set a meeting for finance in June?
Okay. It could be any time and any place, the first 3 weeks of the month, Joe. So what's good for everyone?
Are you on a academic schedule still
Yeah.
in June?
Up until the last day is the 5th.
Oh, okay. You want to do Friday, June 13th at like 8 o'clock in the morning?
That's great.
Is that all right with you, Danielle?
Yep.
There?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Anything else, Mr. Porter?
No, that's all I have.
That's it.
Questions of the finance committee? Hearing none, solicitor.
I have nothing to report.
Questions of the solicitor? Hearing none. Engineer.
I have a couple of things to report.
Okay. Floor is yours.
Thank you.
Welcome back.
Thank you. We received proposal packages from 3 interested, we'll say bidders, for our salt storage building here at Village Hall last Friday afternoon. The 3 interested parties that put pricing together for us were CMG Contracting, Blue Streak Project Management, and Cold Harbor Building Company. The proposals were not close together at all. They ranged from about 600,000 up to about 1.4 million, with CMG Contracting here in Chesterland, local company, giving us the apparent best price for our salt storage building. There's a lot we need to unpack, and there's a lot we need to do there to proceed with one of the 3 proposal submitters. We'll be talking about all of the ins and outs, advantages and disadvantages. There were several alternates that were proposed for each of the bidders at our next Streets Committee meeting, which is this Thursday at noon. Okay, so we will have a Streets Committee report and recommendation back to council following that meeting. I am working on putting an OPWC application together for the village. What I've got outlined is a new storm sewer system and roadway paving up on Hazelwood. I know we talked about that. We've talked about that for past year or so, that needs to be looked at. I don't know how strong of an application I can put together for that right now, just because it's a big ask. I'm at around in excess of 500,000 to pave the road and put all new storm sewers in. So I'm gonna be asking OPWC for $250,000 to $300,000 for a 50% match. That's a pretty big ask, especially with the success in garnering funds that we've had year after year after year. So I'm setting your expectations low. I'm asking, and I'll ask for the money, but just know that I don't know if they'll be willing to give us $250,000 or $300,000 in free grant money for that right now. What we have going for us is that it's in poor condition, and the storm sewer is, and what's there, and so is the road. It's not imminent. If we miss this funding cycle, I'm going to ask for it again, and maybe tailor my next request, if necessary, based on the feedback I get from this round. So that's where I'm at as far as asking for free money for the village, asking for a whole bunch for the Hazelwood Heights neighborhood. Just so you know, and if you don't want me to do that or do something else, I'm all ears. The applications are due the 23rd, I think, of this month. So I plan on asking for something.
We need a motion to encourage or authorize the engineer to head out for that.
Yes.
Let's do that.
Sure. I move that the engineer, fiscal officer, and the mayor be authorized to submit the application for financial assistance to OPWC for the purposes of upgrading sewer facilities and road paving for the Hazelwood area. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. This is just the application.
It's the pre-application.
I just have I'm sorry, let's
Go ahead.
vote. Let's vote.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Go get them.
Thank you, council. Any questions?
Yeah, so would this be from where Hazelwood starts only in the Stanton allotment there, not including Countryside?
We're looking at doing Countryside as part of our road program this year.
But they would be newer storm sewers than what?
Oh, yeah, the storm sewer issues don't start at Countryside. They start quite a bit further west.
Top of the hill,
Give or take, yeah.
like by Fernwood?
Yeah, maybe a little east of that. It's hard to tell without getting bogged down into full design mode. As Tim can probably attest, it's hard to tell what's connected to what in there. It's a real ad hoc. Just put it in as need be.
1929.
Storm sewer system. A lot of ditch enclosures with mismatched pipes. A lot of pipes that don't appear to go anywhere but go somewhere. We're going to have to figure all of that out. We've been having more and more problems surface in there during our bigger rain events with the surface water not being able to get down into the storm sewer system and be accommodated. So that's kind of what this stems from. As for exactly what we're going to do, I have to have a pretty good idea about that before I submit the application, because I have to put a dollar amount to it. But as far as exactly which inlet basins we'll be replacing and which mainline pipe we'll be replacing as far as what's there now, couldn't tell you off the top of my head, other than from just west of Countryside all the way to where it outlets on the far west end is what we're looking at.
Which has to do with everything you've been working on down there.
100%. We're going to be getting an outlet for that whole area this year as part of our last year's OPWC request. We can't, as the council, authorize a contract for that work until after July 1st of this year. So, but I'm going to have that all ready for you. So we'll be able to pull the trigger on that as soon as our funding date allows. So we'll have the outlet. We'll have an outlet for the stormwater to go. The next step would be to fix what's upstream of that.
Right. Okay, thanks.
Eric, just so I'm clear, can we go to bid before July 1 and open the bids July 1?
We can advertise.
Advertise, okay.
I'm not clear on the legality of opening, but I know we can't award until after July 1.
Okay.
Okay, but if we can advertise and open before July 1, and then just not award until after July 1, I will go that route.
Okay.
Seems
The sooner the better.
because that doesn't tie us to anything.
Right.
We're not committing any public.
That's true.
process
That's true.
By soliciting bids, because theoretically we could reject them all,
And we have before.
and we have, or select the lowest and then go after July 1st. Who would we ask for the answer to that question?
Our OPWC rep, Will Gaberly.
Okay? Because obviously we can advertise, get bids, even if we don't do the bid opening on or about July 1st.
Right.
Yeah,
You know, and then we can move, but if we can do the bid opening before that, that would be much
Even
better.
Yeah.
And then we can move along.
I'm looking at that job as a fall and winter project with restoration the following spring. So we're not super pressed for time on that, but just getting prices in hand and then taking that to the township for their participation, because they've also agreed tentatively to participate in our local cost
Well,
share.
you're talking Fairview now.
Yeah, the storm sewer outlet,
Yeah, okay. All right.
is that Fairview or is that Hemlock?
it's Hemlock.
Hemlock, okay. I got a phone call from the resident who's impacted by that the most, who obviously is very interested after the spring waters,
Right.
okay, is very interested that go forward ASAP.
It is 100% in the works,
Okay.
and we've been funded for it. We just have to play by the timeline rules of our funding.
Eric, did we get an email or something from the state saying exactly how much they were giving us?
Yes.
Yeah. You announced it before.
Yeah, it didn't,
I forwarded it, but just said we got the grant, it didn't give the dollar amount, so
Oh,
they said we
okay.
got it, is that for the
That's-
amount you asked?
yeah, it's for the amount that we asked for.
So
And it's not necessarily an amount, it's a matching percentage up to a maximum.
Okay.
So if our bids come in and we get really good prices, it's a 50-50 grant up to a maximum cutoff of X dollar amount.
The 93,000 we asked for?
Yeah,
Okay, the reason I ask it is sooner or later we need to tell Russell.
right, they just don't give us the $93,000, because
Okay,
what if the prices come in low?
all right, so we got an email from the state saying you're approved up to 50%
Right,
of the amount.
yeah.
Okay.
Does council want to pass a motion to do that advertising for that other, for the bids, just so that's done, because this engineer won't be at the next meeting, and then we're down to one meeting a month, so if you,
Okay,
if
that's
we're doing
smart
that
thinking.
ad,
Bids for the,
Advertise for bids for the
Hemlock.
Hemlock Culvert project.
Yeah.
okay, I'll make that motion that the engineer, fiscal officer, and mayor be authorized to go out for bids for the purposes of the Hemlock
Culvert replacement.
replacement, which involves Russell Township as well, to differentiate from the other one, and so moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Thank you, council. Get right on that.
Got a couple of questions for you, Eric.
Yes, sir.
Going back to the salt structure. You know, I'm really kind of dumbfounded, I guess is a good word, because having been involved in the construction project bid process, to your point, most of them are pretty
Generally, they are.
tight. I'm really kind of wondering why one at the high end is double what the one on potentially the low end is.
Correct.
And have you looked at it? Are they doing apples to apples?
Not necessarily, and that could account for that big discrepancy.
So they came up with their own design modifications?
Yeah, and you'll see, I'll forward all of that over to Streets Committee as soon as I can get it scanned in and over. Right now, I just forwarded over, just clicked out, call it a bid tab, a proposal tabulation summary of what all of the bidders were proposing with their different alternates. So you have that in your inbox now. I've got hard copies of that I brought with me. I'll pass out for the meeting, just to have you primed for our streets committee meeting, so you're not walking in with nothing.
The other question I have is, nobody can predict what's going on with tariffs. And I know that the majority of our building materials are potentially tariff.
Some of them perhaps, yeah.
And so I'm wondering, is in the bid, is there any fudge factor for construction material costs? Because somebody can underbid that, and then we have a lot of cost overruns if we think we're going with the lowest bidder or the near lowest bidder.
Right. Yes and no. If there was a fudge factor built in for just economic materials availability or price uncertainty, we've got that. If there's any overages that come, it would be because of a change of scope. We ask them to do something different or something additional, not because, the price for asphalt shingles went up, or the price for metal roofing went up, or the price for concrete went up. That's the contractors have to take that risk when they submit their prices.
And in your opinion, do you think that all three of the bids that were submitted meet the flavor of the design specifications that we provided?
Yes, I can say with certainty, yes. There were a couple of the bidders asked if they could. They proposed their own alternates. So like, maybe you want to do this, and that's going to be this much more. Maybe you want to do this, that's this much less. So there's a little bit that we need to kind of pick apart and dissect. But I would say even accounting for all of the potential like add-on prices and deduct prices, it doesn't really change who's in the lowest place, who's in the middle place, and who's in the high place.
Right.
So.
Thanks.
Right. Since the county is also buying a salt dome, I'll check with the county on the bids and what they're getting and what they're seeing.
Okay.
And then you get to go to Russell.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the county putting one up on Merritt Drive there or behind the jail?
They've gone out for bids
But that's where it's gonna be?
someplace. Yeah, I would assume there.
Okay. Yeah.
When we were talking 6 months ago, we had said 775,000 is what we thought a salt room would cost. That's the exact number that the county is looking for their salt room to, 775,000. Okay. All right, any questions of our engineer? Street Commissioner, you're up.
So I submitted my report. We have the playground down at the park has been restained. It just has the roofs to be done yet, which is weather permitting. They'll be matched to the pavilion and to the restroom. So kind of ties everything together. We're just slowly plugging away at the list of duties and things that we have and outstanding things that we have currently, but other than that, that's what I have.
Questions of the Street Commissioner? A compliment to you. Your first trash day. We expect better weather, but I give you credit. You were a grunt on the ground, along with Councilman Porter and a resident volunteer, 2 guys that we've never met before from Chagrin, and 3 guys from Russell. And things went very smoothly. So I think you did a very nice job of manpowering everything, and everything went fine.
Thank you.
I think amount was down, I think, a little bit. compared to other years.
That's what the guys told me, yes.
Might have been because of lousy weather.
I think so. And ideally, I think trash day is kind of something that in reality should probably slowly die anyway on its own. Just,
I love it.
well, just because theoretically, you shouldn't have as much trash over the years,
I grow it.
but I know we were short, I had 3 scrap dumpsters and we only used 2 of them for trash day, so we had culverts that we had ripped out, so we shipped a box of culverts out, we still have another box to go worth of culverts down to get rid of, so worked out.
Chief, also thanks to you and for keeping these 2 warm and running that whole end of it.
No problem.
Questions of the street commission?
One observation, Tim, Russell gave us that case loader. Was that theirs or was that Chagrin's?
The skid steer?
Yeah.
Chagrin's.
Okay.
Chagrin brought a machine with them as well.
That was really helpful and it kept everything moving very quickly.
They did. They did.
And I think, I don't remember if we covered this at the last meeting, but the chief had, I call them postcards, to pass out, and he knew how many he had, and that gives us a count of how many people. So if I stopped talking and actually passed them out, that would give you an idea of how many people. We had some lulls there, but I got to know Jim Levine a lot better, so that was good.
We also had a sign that Pepper Pike allowed us to use out by the road. So that would have been,
That was
I think,
nice.
nice.
Yeah.
And then the next day we changed it to thank the residents.
Street committee, you're up.
Street committee, Dennis was gone and I worked, so what I did is just talk to our street commissioner last week. And top of his list, and you may want to expand on these, we have is it 19 applications, Danielle, for the?
I think so at
Yeah.
this point.
It's a lot. Dennis has already plowed through all of them. I'm halfway through, but we want the top 5 from us, and who was the other one? Was HR?
HR.
Yeah. So, fun reading after going through the canals of Amsterdam there, Mr. Berger. So we need to get that done, and we're gonna go through them a week from today, on the 19th. We need an update on policy for the uniforms. Tim, did you want to talk about that?
If we could get, I would like to get the guys into the uniforms and get that before we get too deep into the summer.
And there was some thought that HR already has a policy for clothes, so we just need to maybe nick it a little bit.
I think so.
Okay. And that's all I have. Do you remember anything else we discussed?
There was.
Questions of the street committee?
I have a question. You said you're meeting on the 19th?
Yeah.
Is that a committee meeting?
That is not, no, that's not the committee meeting. That was just to get together to discuss those, right? Mayor, is that the interviews? Maybe I don't need a meeting.
Okay, just because it's nothing sunshine,
I know.
so I just want to make sure.
Well, your meeting is coming up on
We're
Thursday.
meeting on
right?
Thursday at noon, yeah.
And there's a bid opening for the specifications opening for the salt dome.
That already happened last Friday,
Yeah.
2 p.m.
Okay.
So this is just us.
Us reviewing, digging into it. and
The
reviewing.
street committee.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So Mayor, what do you have for the 19th for interviews? Just,
I would just encourage you to get these 19 down to 5.
so you don't want to actually do interviews on the 19th?
I'll just, give me the 2 finalists, yeah.
Okay, all right.
So obviously, if we're having HR and streets meet, it is a committee meeting of some sort.
But that's what I'm asking.
No,
Who's meeting on
I
the
don't
19th?
have it as an actual meeting.
But you can't meet without it being a meeting.
It would be a joint meeting.
There's no unofficial meeting.
I think what the mayor had in mind, we do our top 5, and I can call a meeting.
We all,
Yeah, I
we
know.
have to. We can't have behind the scenes discussions
I'm
about
not doing any
things.
behind the scenes.
Chief, what'd you do for your last hire with HR?
Just followed the process, and then once we narrowed it down, we put it in front of a joint HR safety meeting.
Okay, there we go.
Okay, so
Same
then,
idea.
yeah,
So you should maybe.
I'll get it
debate
set.
this.
yeah. And I pass out my on buildings, Yapper Street.
Yes, you're next. Any other questions on the street committee? All right, building committee, Ruth.
Buildings, we did have a meeting on Thursday morning at 8 a.m. And we were so glad to have Ruth back with Christie. Got a lot of things covered, minutes are in front of you. Mark took the lead on the budget discussion, line by line, and everybody contributed. Talked about Dan D'Agostino, and we reviewed that with Friday tonight, what needs to be done, to get him. It's not called a hiring, it's called reviewing the contract. Retaining, there we go, retaining. And I didn't realize, this is just Ruth's comments, I didn't realize that Sean Davis did a number of things besides make sure that buildings are safe. I didn't know that he checks occupancy permits, and the mayor suggested, and I think it's a great idea, if Sean Davis comes and just updates on what he does. And the rest of it is kind of not as consequential. Yes, we can have free-range chickens as long as they observe lot lines and no closer than 50 feet to the neighbors. One rooster is allowed. Cock-a-doodle-doo. That's it.
Questions of the building committee? Chief, you're up.
Thank you. I submitted a month-end report, and I believe I've got solar panels marked under my name. There had been some issues with a couple of solar panels last month. The company remote monitors, and they discovered that there was an issue with some connections with two of the panels. They came out last month and repaired those. Guys showed up again last week, and they had to rework all of the connections on every solar panel. They're claiming that they weren't crimped or spliced appropriately from the start. So they were getting some readings, remote monitoring the panels, which were inconsistent with what the panels should have been generating. Now everything is hopefully up and running again.
I saw them on the roof.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing how they walk all over the panels. I thought they were pretty fragile, but they walked all over them, picked them all up.
They walked on top of
On top of them, yeah. So I was surprised. But they reworked all of the connections, and they said if there are any further issues, they'll contact us and come back out again.
How do they do remote monitoring?
I think Yellow Light does something with the equipment that they have on our building. It's connected to the Wi-Fi, and it actually reports to them how the system is functioning.
I forget, do you have a warranty with them?
I would imagine.
And if so-
They didn't charge us for anything the last 2 times they came out. We don't get a bill.
So the people that just fixed it are the ones that initially put it in?
Yeah, they were from Yellow Light.
Never should have happened, that it didn't.
Shouldn't, yeah. You would think.
Questions of our police chief? Hearing none? Thank you, chief.
You're welcome.
We learned that in the police academy, didn't you?
Sure.
All right, safety committee, you're up.
Safety Committee, our May meeting is this Thursday, the 15th, at 8 a.m. at the Police Department. Pending anything from Councilman Galicki.
Yeah, another Chris.
That's all I have.
Questions of the safety committee? HR committee?
HR Committee will meet tomorrow morning, Tuesday, May 13th at 7:30 a.m. here at Village Hall. I don't have anything else. Councilman Berger?
Nothing.
That's all we have for today.
Questions of the HR committee? Properties committee?
Properties Committee will meet on May 20th at 9 a.m. That's all we have.
Is that the meeting that's going from the 22nd to the 20th?
I had it, it's Tuesday.
Oh, okay, then I was wrong. Okay.
Does that make sense, Councilman Galicki?
Yes, I was on the same page.
Thank you. Okay, well, that's our normal schedule, so. All right, that's all we have.
Questions of the property committee? Parks committee? There's a motion here. Do you know why this is here?
They changed the dates. You guys, council originally approved August 26th, and they're changing it to September 2nd.
So this motion should say 8/26/2025 and?
No,
No.
moving it from
Moving the dates.
Get rid of 8/26 and go to 9/2.
Revised.
All right, revised, okay. So no 8/26. All right, Parks committee, want a motion on that?
Motion to approve the Chagrin Falls Middle School cross-country meet park use pavilion reservation as a change from August 26, 2025 to September 2nd, 2025 from 3 to 6 PM. So moved.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
Then we want to make a motion that the Sundays in September for 2025 be blocked off for pavilion reservations pending the issue of the Brown schedule and the determination of a fall festival date and rain out date.
Do you want to block only Sundays, or we did Saturdays and Sundays because we set up on Saturdays and the 10th and the 2nd?
I'm fine with that. Amend the motion to include Saturdays.
Second.
Thank you.
Saturdays and Sundays in September.
Yeah.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes.
The Brown schedule is out like.
Brown schedule comes out
It comes out-
Wednesday.
Wednesday, yeah.
I met with Ted Cruzy this morning. He's all ready,
It comes out this Wednesday?
this Wednesday.
Sweet.
Wednesday evening, yeah.
I mean, the point is, we'll know when the fall festival date will be, presumably, once we know that schedule.
Well, that we
Yeah.
probably have a choice of 2 dates. There'll be two
Oh, yeah.
Sundays in September where the Browns will be away.
Right.
If in fact they're not playing on a Thursday or a Monday night or something like
Yeah.
that. So we'll have a couple of dates and then we'll have to make a choice.
Questions of the Parks Committee? Hearing none, we have the Public Utilities Committee.
The Mayor Public Utilities Committee will be meeting this coming Wednesday, which is May 14th, 3:15 at Village Hall. And we're hoping the engineer can join us for that Public Utilities meeting. Some of the topics that we would like to discuss is whether or not Manor Brook Phase 2 is something that we should continue to pursue, given what we've seen so far with Manor Brook Phase 1 and the central retention basin. Secondly, the landscape plan that council authorized, $10,000 for the central retention basin. And we'd like to talk about that as well.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll, over the summer and prior to the fall, we would have some kind of idea of what the landscaping plan would look like, trees, et cetera. So that, I think we were talking about planting in the fall. So there's plenty of time, but we wanted to get the ball rolling on that. The resident just south of us and also just east of us are also very interested in what we might be contemplating for those trees and whatnot.
Okay.
And the idea that we may have an issue with flooding on East Washington Street, which I think you and Tim talked about. Tim showed, Ruth, pictures of what you found or what was found with the camera. There's actually a gas line.
There is a gas line that was directionally bored right through, real close to the center line of 12-inch storm sewer.
And Councilman Berger may recall that time we had flooding at KDI and businesses around there. And the big question was, when should we upgrade or should we upgrade? And then coordinating with Chagrin. This is 107 feet of 12-inch pipe, right?
Yeah, it's not good. Having a gas main go through the laterally through the center line of your underground pipe is never an ideal situation. But I would be very hesitant to say, well, that's what's causing all of our flooding issues there. It certainly isn't helping. But fixing it isn't gonna be a big picture solution to our perennial flooding issues that we've experienced on Washington Street during our big rain events.
And therefore, the question, is this the opportunity to address that problem along maybe with Chagrin's problem?
I don't know that Chagrin wants to address the problem. Okay.
That's a good way to say that. I also don't know if Chagrin wants to address the problem.
And I would suggest that the engineer ask that question of your colleague
Yeah.
who represents
Tim
Chagrin and have that discussion
I will be-
as an opener.
I will be happy to do, we've already had that discussion.
All right, but
I will be happy to broach that subject again.
And should we need to get the two councils together or the committees together to have that discussion, happy to do that.
The issue being, should we upgrade the size of the piping because we're gonna dig it out, I suppose, anyway.
May,
But if we go from 12 to 24, that means all kinds of more water's going.
it doesn't necessarily mean that, it just means that 24-inch pipe fills up because it connects to a 12-inch pipe. And you can only put 5 pounds of potatoes in a 5-pound sack.
Yes.
Once the receiving pipe is flowing full, you can't make any more go down. As for what we need to do to repair we definitely need to repair, in conjunction with Dominion, or whoever owns the gas, presumably Dominion, whoever owns the gas main. What we need to do to repair that pipe, in conjunction with the utility that caused the need for repair. I haven't settled on anything yet. I need to know a little bit more details, and we'll talk about that. But we can talk about that before our streets committee meeting at noon on Thursday. One of them was how much debris had accumulated. I mean, I saw a picture of the pipe that the joints were bad, but it looked pristine and clean.
It was just generated.
Yeah, so I need, should we replace the whole section of that pipe, or should we just blame the gas company, get some assistance from them, and replace a short section where the gas main goes through? Maybe we could line that pipe without having to dig it. There's a bunch of options that we should consider before we just say, yeah, we're gonna replace that whole thing, and do we replace it in kind size-wise, or do we upsize now? Potentially to all of those. Potentially yes or no to all of those things.
What's the size of a gas pipe?
I think a 3, either a 3 or a 4. It's really hard to tell, Councilman Galicki. It's really hard to tell. Just looking at the picture. Calibrating to, okay, the inner diameter of this thing is 12 inches, give or take. It looks to be 3 or 4 inches.
And that's,
Yeah.
Hypothetically, how do you not know you're ramping gas?
Oh my gosh, this happens all the time. You would be surprised. So the methods that Dominion uses, and I shouldn't just pick on them. Anybody that's got a pressure pipe, so it could be like a sanitary forces or a water line or a gas line, something that transmits a fluid, air or liquid, under pressure, then you have the opportunity to, because it's pressurized, so it can go uphill and downhill and uphill and downhill. You have the opportunity to do what's called directional drilling. Like it's a no-dig technology, and they are just piloting a pilot rod from a big machine underground, hundreds of feet, until they have to pop it up and say, okay, there's one run, and then they pull the line through it, and it's got this steerable drill bit looking head on the end of it that's spinning as it's going through. And if they hit a rock, okay, it'll deflect it out of the way and have to pilot it back online. And those pipes that they're pulling are flexible enough that if it has any kind of irregularities by hitting some kind of obstruction, they just roll with it. It's really easy and probably not even noticeable to the people operating those machines. If this is the center line of your pipe, and then they're coming in this way, if they either just nick the top of it a little bit, they'll never know. If they poke right through the middle of it, they'll never know, unless it's a big pipe. If it's like a 48-inch pipe, then they've got a lot of poke through, and then wow, there's a lot of push that happens before it hit the other wall. A 12-inch pipe, believe it or not, is really easy not to feel, I guess is the right word, for the operator when he's doing it. So it happens.
Okay.
I recognize this is a big discussion, and you may not have all the answers by Wednesday, nonetheless.
You're right. Well, Tim and I are going to work on a strategy of what's the best remedy for this. Clearly, we have to do something. Exactly what to be determined.
This will all be on our dime, probably.
Shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. But
Dominion has good lawyers.
so do we. Certainly Dominion needs to move their line.
Yeah.
Is just from personal experience, and again, nothing against Dominion. If we would say, hey, Dominion, you gotta get your line out from the middle of our pipe, they're gonna come out and either go, put a junction in and go over the top of it, or put a junction in and go down under it. And I don't want them to repair it, because their repair methods, in my opinion, don't meet our standard of what we would expect the finished product to look like.
Talking about repairing our.
Repairing our pipe.
Okay.
When Dominion comes in, or any utility that's underground and repairs pavement, it's always terrible. When they repair existing infrastructure, it's almost always terrible. Like, they're good at putting a gas main in, and they don't do a good job of doing anything else. So I would say the responsibility to relocate the line is on the owner of the line, but as far as who fixes the damaged piece of pipe, it probably is just gonna be us.
But we could possibly use this to our advantage. This crisis, maybe make some repair, you know, if they're gonna open it up.
If you have
Why do you have it
something,
open?
yeah, or if you have something, if the village has something that they want from Dominion, well, now's a good time, like, hey, you guys kind of screwed us here, we're having to deal with this, and while we're talking about this other thing that we've been asking you for. So if there's anything else, now's not a terrible time to ask, because we're in the right and they're in the wrong.
A 24-inch line through the village on the way to the river.
You know what, it never hurts to ask.
No, let's be smart about this. If,
Yeah.
you know, the gas line basically stops at, before Silver Springs. That size gas line that they repaired. If we could somehow, before we repave Bell Road from Silver Springs to Newberry, if they have any thought, because originally there was a fear that they were gonna do some work
After the fact.
after the fact. So
Yeah, I
if
don't-
we could get anything done on a gas line before we repave,
The washboard known
it'd
as.
be something
Bell.
just to consider.
Yes, that is very much in the scope of the type of question that we should be asking to Dominion. And using this little chip to our advantage of, you know, now you've done something to harm us. We're having to fix your problem. While we're talking about it, what about these other things? I can't say one way or the other if Dominion believes it's economically feasible for them to extend that line to the east. If they have any plans, now's a good time to ask.
You know, we would just look like idiots if we repave and then Dominion comes in and,
That happens all the time with water
I
lines.
know. Okay,
One other item for public utilities, Mayor, Danielle asked about the Ohio Ethics Committee or Commission, and whether or not we should ask for an advisory opinion. I think that's fine, it does no harm, and might be useful down the road. So those questions you asked, Danielle, from the
Yes.
email,
Mhm.
and the members of council, the mayor will correct me if I'm wrong, based on what they know of Kennington Green HOA. First question, councilor, mayor, members of the HOA, yes, we all are. Are any of them an office holder in the HOA? The answer is no. Has the HOA already retained an attorney? Yes. Has the attorney already performed a review of the agreement? Yes. And, let's see, are we asking whether the village can pay for the sounding or pay for the HOA's attorney's fees? I think we're just asking about the HOA's attorney's fees, because we would do the sounding in-house, as I recall.
So that wouldn't, is there a
And
cost?
just one, and that's the HOA attorney fees.
Or does that fall under the category of public funds for private use?
Doesn't hurt to ask for both.
I think it's the wise thing to ask, but I would add a number 5 as an informational point. And as far as I know, no member of council nor the mayor would benefit personally, either directly or indirectly, from the payment by the village of the HOA legal fees.
I would kind of take exception with that statement,
Sure.
because if there are legal fees that the HOA has to pay, I would anticipate we are being assessed. So indirectly or directly, I think it meets the test.
We are not being assessed now. We have no knowledge that we are going to be assessed. And for $350, I doubt very much we would be assessed. But at this point,
You may have knowledge, I don't.
well, I'm presuming if we were going to assess, there'd be an email to all the HOA members saying, hey, we're being assessed.
Yeah, well, but they don't know, because the assumption on the HOA's part is that the village is going to pick up the tab due to an implicit promise or whatever, or negotiations or whatever. But I don't see any harm in keeping the verbiage in to the Ethics Commission.
I think what I suggested adding should be added. And I don't know of any benefit, direct or indirect, that any of the memberships get. The HOA leadership, president, vice president, secretary, treasurer, are the ones who run that. And we don't benefit, the members of the HOA don't benefit from this arrangement, because right now, there's no pond monitoring at all.
Which has not had any deleterious effect to the HOA, and nor was it requested by the HOA, this pond monitoring. This is strictly a construct that the village has come up with.
Yes.
And I would ask, Bridie, do you have any question or opinion about this wording or?
Can we just say unknown, we're not sure? I mean, we don't know if there's gonna be a direct or indirect benefit.
Well, at present, there is not, and I don't see that it will be. But I will make the motion that we go ask the request from the Ohio Ethics Committee, is that right, Dan?
Commission.
Commission, for the advisory opinion, including the language as a number 5 bullet point, that no member of council nor the mayor would benefit personally, directly or indirectly, from the payment of legal fees incurred by the HOA for the license agreement. So moved.
So are we maintaining the original language, or did you just change the language?
No, he's asking the.
That's what I wrote down. And I believe I said it twice.
Good move. Do we have a second?
Okay, I have a quick question. So you belong to the HOA, do you pay dues?
Yes.
Yeah.
And any assessments that the HOA board chooses to pass along to us.
Such as paving the grounds.
Paths,
Second.
white.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Any questions of the Public Utilities Committee?
Did I say when our next meeting is? Oh,
Yeah, 3:15.
how about the June meeting? Did I do that?
Yeah, go ahead.
I propose, Jerry, if you're available, that we follow the Finance Committee meeting
Sure.
and hold the Public Utilities meeting at 9 o'clock on June 13th.
Very good.
That's all we got, Mayor, unless Jerry's got more to add.
That's all we have.
9 o'clock on Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Oh, yep, okay. Okay, we're now ordinance and resolution. Before we get here, street commissioner, can you explain, that we're paying for a handicap portable restroom for what, a couple of weeks?
For the park, we were going to, but we were able to open up in time. So they were able to take it out before we got any length of time into the,
So we don't need this?
it's gone.
Well, the portable toilet, I was gonna ask for a motion to pay for that because we have an agreement, which is what is, on the agenda, but we have to pay that bill, for $304.50.
Are we adding that to the bill list, Dan?
Well, if you pass the legislation, then that's what that would be approving. And the other thing we had to add was on the D'Agostino thing. I don't know if we're ready with the agreement tonight, but we have a bill for him for $240.
We're not, but we will.
One at a time here. Let's go, this ordinance we're on. So we don't need this, okay? So,
No, we do need this. We have a bill for $304 that has to be paid.
okay. This is the part.
So introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the agreement between Harris Company and the Village of South Russell in an amount not to exceed a total of $304.50 for a handicap portable restroom unit and services thereto in the village, authorizing the street commissioner and mayor to execute the agreement on behalf of the village, declaring an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Gulicki.
Aye.
Porter. Bell.
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Berger.
Aye.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Gulicki.
Aye.
Porter. Bell.
All right, ordinance passes. All right, now you had other things.
The other thing was, I believe the building committee is working on the, DAG inspection agreement, but in the meantime, we do have a bill from him for $240 that I would need a motion to approve.
I move that we approve the single bill in front of you, and we will get that, what's it called, Brady?
Contract.
Contract done.
It's been moved.
Second.
Second. This is just simply a motion.
Yes.
All right, all those in favor, discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Anything else? Under ordinances and resolution, anybody got anything? The bills list.
Yeah, there is. There was a bills list, that we emailed
Yeah.
out.
Is there a total?
Yeah, 187.
183,
83.
016 and 28 cents.
183 and 16 cents?
Yes,
183,016.28.
280.
183,000. Okay.
Okay, make a motion that we pay bills list $183,016.28.
Need a second?
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. How many people were able to see the bills list?
Thank you.
All right. We're at new other.
Berger.
Okay, at this point, I would like to make a motion to excuse Councilman Porter from the May 27th, 2025 council meeting. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
That's all I have.
Canton.
None.
Kavanaugh.
Nothing.
Gulicki.
None.
Porter.
None.
Bell.
Nothing.
Do we need to go into executive session over a possible sunshine issue?
It's up to you.
What's that?
It's up to you. I sent the language if you wanted to.
Oh, you have it? Yeah. Okay,
Are we going forward with it?
yes.
Could we do this for an update on pending litigation as well?
Then you'd have to add that as well.
Yeah. If we
That's
can.
okay. I can help you with it.
Move to enter into executive session to consider the investigation of public officials pursuant to section 121.22 G1 of the Ohio Revised Code and invite into executive session the mayor, fiscal officer, and the solicitor.
And we want to add,
And in addition,
in addition,
121.G,
So 121, so move to enter into executive session.
Already had Mark.
well, we got one, can we amend the current motion and
You can
add?
continue to say and also go into executive session.
And also enter into executive session with the solicitor for the purposes of an update as to pending litigation.
Pursuant to
Pursuant to
121.22.
121G3.
3.
Thank you.
okay?
And who?
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call.
Just solicitor, do
Do
you
you wanna
want
add the
police
fiscal officer
chief,
too?
fiscal officer, mayor?
He did.
Yes.
Well, but he said that for the first one.
Not the second one.
So, yeah, we've done this before where actually if we have two and we're not necessarily inviting in the same people, you should re-invite everybody that you're including into the
That's
second
fine.
part.
So we will invite the chief for the first
We'll
half.
invite the chief.
First half. Chief can't get out yet. Okay, roll call.
Berger,
Aye.
Canton, Kavanaugh, Galicki,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell.
All right, we're in executive session at 8:14. Does everyone need a break?